Hello entrepreneurs, welcome back to the Entrepreneurs channel, the channel where future business leaders come to get inspired. Today, we're going to be talking about Barbara Corcoran. Barbara Corcoran is an American businesswoman and investor. She's well known for founding Corcoran Group, which is a real estate brokerage in New York City. Barbara Corcoran started her first business using only $1,000 loan. She sold a real estate brokerage business in 2001 for $66 million. So here are Barbara Corcoran's 6 rules for success. Rule number 1, focus on what you do well.
Focus on what you do well. So many people start a business and try to do everything from the get-go. I think you really have to know yourself, what your gifts are, and do a lot of it, and try to find some other sucker to do the stuff that you are not good at. That's the truth. That's what makes a great partnership or good delegation. Whereas most people hammer away at everything thinking you have to be good. No, I knew what I was good at building my business. I was great at marketing. I was great at recruiting people. And that's what I did almost from my 3rd year in business only. I focused on that.
Rule number 2, keep on going.
I think the most underestimated quality in all entrepreneurs that I don't underestimate at all, because it's the main quality, is their ability to get over an obstacle and keep on going. You know, when you're building a business, you have your good days, but you have a lot more bad days than good days where the chips are down and you're not sure how you're going to make it to the finish line. But you have to really be able to take anything that hits you in the head or flies in your face or becomes an obstacle before it's a big obstacle and think quickly on your feet on how to solve it. I think that takes a certain quality in the personality that doesn't get bothered by that stuff. And so when they get hit and they get hit and they get hit, they have that ability to keep popping up and almost like an attitude of hit me again. I'm stupid, hit me again. But that exact thing is common to anyone who builds a great business, because they wouldn't have gotten there if they can't get over obstacles and bounce right back up. So that bouncing up is the number 1 quality in my book, and that has never changed.
Rule number 3, get started.
If you have a great idea for a business, the first thing you should do is get it out there. What people tend to do instead is analyze it to death and get everything in order, get the business plan down, get their ducks in order, how they're going to finance it. I think there's a time where you have to give that a little thought, but the problem with giving it a little thought, it leads to more thought. And when you give it more thought, you always find something else that you're missing. And as a result, you don't get it out there. I think there's a tendency to feel as though you have to have everything in perfect order, be a perfectionist. And the problem with that is by not getting out there, you don't even have a chance to revamp your product, your sales pitch, your pricing. The only way you can test it is to get it out there in the market. So I think if you have even a prototype of, say, a product or a new service with basic pitch points to it, you ought to walk out in the street, hit a couple of strangers and see if they'll pay you for it. That's the beginning of a business, not on paper or safely at your desk in your office.
Rule number 4, be hyper-focused.
The first 5 years of building my business, I was hyper-focused, like laser-focused, because all I wanted to be was the queen of New York real estate. Had it in my mind on day 1, had it on day 2, I had it on day 14, and it never left my mind. I was hyper-focused on who I wanted to be, which was the queen of New York real estate. All the work was about getting there, but that's the zone I was in.
Rule number 5, have a plan.
Tell everybody some of your key building blocks when you look back on your own life and your own journey.
Yes.
Kind of rags to riches.
Well, first off, the great majority of people who start businesses come from poor families.
That's right.
I was one of them. You don't need money to start a business, okay? The guys with the money tend not to do so well. What I did is I was a diner waitress, and I took a $1,000 loan from my boyfriend. And I started a small, or I should say tiny real estate company in New York City to rent apartments. It was just me. But one thing I knew is I knew right away I was going to need a plan because I only had $1,000. So I decided what my overhead was. It was exactly $120 a week or $480 a month. And I knew it bought me my desk space, which I subleased, a Princess phone, an extra $1 a month. What the hell?
She's so cool.
Yeah, and the other thing it bought me was a 5-line ad in the New York Times classified columns. Very important. But one thing I knew is I only had 6 weeks to stay in business, and I had to hit the floor running and make a commission fast. And luckily for me, I did. And now this is how I worked my plan my entire life. Simple. Every time I had an extra $480, which represents a 1-month overhead, I took the $480 and I hired a salesperson because I knew I could afford them for 1 month.
That's right.
And when they made the extra $480, they hired a salesperson. Not they, I hired another one because they made the profit. And then I hired and hired and hired with the $480 until I had until I had 1,000 salespeople and sold my business for $66 million.
Rule number 6, stand apart from others.
First of all, you have to look the part, all right? And you have to act the part. Acting the part, I have found, is nothing more than convincing yourself you're deserving of the business. Lots of people who start out in a business have inside them, oh my God, I don't know if I'm really gonna make. That kind of self-talk the clients pick up on. It's like a dog on a bone. They can smell you weak. Right. You have to convince yourself you're deserving of your success, which is hard for a lot of women in particular, because they tend to take a second seat on stuff. I had to psych myself up, I deserve this, I deserve this. Once I did, I had to stand apart from the pack. So what I had to do, look at you look the part. I needed to look like a fancy real estate lady, so the first thing I did with my first commission check, which was not practical, is I blew it on a fancy coat at Bergdorf Goodman's, so I looked like a fancy lady. And I wore that coat for 4 years up and down the streets of Manhattan. I got my money's worth. And after that, I decided, how do I stand apart? And I bought myself a red suit, and I continued buying red suits. It's all I ever wore was a red suit. When I walked into a room, people would say, there she is, the girl in the red suit. People are gonna wanna look like you and be like you, but how do you really zoom it up and stand apart from it?
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you learned something new from the video, then please smash the like button down below, because it really helps the YouTube algorithm. If you want to join our learning community and learn something new about success from every video, then please hit the subscribe button down below. And as always, comment your favorite quote by Barbara Corcoran.